And it's like fringe
Civilization.
cultures. Oh, Cookie, can you please talk into your mic so I can get a... Cookie, I swear to God, are you going to be drafting the entire time?
I'm sorry.
Are you really going to be drafting the entire time?
Not the entire time. Just most of the time.
How much longer do you have left in the draft?
Allen Robinson or Calvin Ridley?
Oh, my.
Calvin Murray.
Who are you going to
Calvin
draft,
Ridley?
Cook? Who are you going to draft?
Man. Don't listen to me. I suck at fantasy football now.
Oh, well,
I used to be better.
Welcome to $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Varnum. Joining me today, as always, Big Mike,
Yes.
Cookie,
Yes, sir.
and Tolbert.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. As our man Tolbert has mentioned, whoop, whoop. That would be W-H-O-O-P. W-H-O-O-P. Whoop, whoop.
Times 2.
So today we're going to have some cool matches. Mike has got a fun match. Cookie's got a very good match.
Fucking love it.
then Tolbert has got...
Something.
A train wreck. He's got a train
Tolbert has got something involving the Insane Clown Posse because last week... Oh, by the way, also, our audio is back to normal.
Yeah.
Should be a little better, yeah.
We all have our mics back, and we're not crowded around the table.
Whoop, whoop to that. If you hear me, if you're down with the clown, don't frown.
Buckle up, boys. It's going to be a long ride today.
Guys, so let's talk. Let's start off. Originally, we usually talk 15 minutes or so, not necessarily about professional wrestling. And then we kind of go, we ease into professional wrestling. Now, today, Tolbert has a match with the Dark Carnival, who is ICP and Vampiro and the Great Muta. If you were down with the clown, you were known as a juggalo. Tolbert, define juggalo for us today here on the $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast.
To loosely define a juggalo, it's a fan of the band.
Are they a band or a group?
Well, they're a group.
They're a
I'd say
group.
they're a rap
I
group.
think band denotes that you need to play instruments.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the DJ and they have all that stuff.
But they're
it's a rap
rappers.
group. It's
Are
a
they
hip-hop group.
rappers? Are they considered rappers?
Yes, the rappers. So Violent J and Shaggy Two Dope.
I mean, they're no Big Heath.
No, yeah, I mean, that's
So
the
it's
boy.
fans. They're
Top
fans
10.
of the group of ICP, and they follow them loyally and go to all their shows, and they paint their faces like them, which is black and white clown motif, kind of.
To show that you're down with the clown.
Yeah, to show. Then they're not afraid to show it. And we just watched a lot of videos about the Gathering, which is a yearly gathering.
So we've touched on juggalos before.
Yes.
We've touched on the Gathering, which it has had some really good wrestling. Terry Funk has appeared there.
Yeah.
Ric Flair has appeared at the Gathering of the Juggalos. People that I know personally have attended the Gathering of the Juggalos to wrestle.
a lot of really good metal bands, a lot of bands that I like.
Gwar?
And
Gwar plays every year.
Of course. And then, but the wrestling is awesome, and they actually had at some point their own promotion.
They still do. JCW, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And at that point during the early 2000s, late 90s, the title, the JCW Heavyweight Championship, was contested on WCW Nitro a couple times, Vampiro being the heavyweight champion.
Yes.
And we'll talk about him later on today. So...
I got a random question for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to know the answer to it, but
No,
ask
yeah,
me.
you will. Do you think Howard could handle the Gathering of the Juggalos?
Howard could not handle the Gathering of the Juggalos. I believe Howard Varnum, the entire time, his head would explode. Like, just...
Well, I feel a generational thing. Can you imagine being the promoter calling Terry Funk and be like, hey, Terry, I got a gig for you. It's called The Gathering.
the Gathering of what?
Juggalos.
Well,
What's a
all right.
Juggalo?
What is a juggalo?
It's these kids. They paint their faces, and they're like
Like
clowns.
Sting? Like Sting?
A little bit.
kind of.
Kind.
So it's just a bunch of stings? I love Sting. Me and Sting had some great matches.
I'll be there.
And then imagine Terry and Rick just showing up and seeing some of the people that we saw.
And Rick getting right back into
the guy that was rinsing off in the rain because he vomited on his shoulder.
He could cook, though, that guy.
Yeah, we just.
What did he say? This guy. So, Cookie, you missed it. They're interviewing this guy.
Yes.
And he said he wants to find a really skinny chick.
All right.
Cook her up all these nice meals, fatten her up, and then they'd lose weight together so they could bond over it.
No, they did not. They did not.
This was after he explained to us that he had just thrown up on the Carnival ride, and then he's like, and people were asking me today how I was doing, so I was like a spectacle and some shit. It was a spectacle, me throwing up and passing out, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, Mike had never seen. He didn't know what the whole Juggalo thing was about.
I've known of Juggalos. I went to school with a Juggalo or two, but I've never dived into the whole Juggalo
like
culture.
full on face paint at school?
No, but he had the tight braided hair and like the big old Jinko jeans in 2002.
Okay.
No, I don't know if it's a socio-economic thing, like, or it's maybe an outcast thing. It is very interesting.
So some of those people, you can tell they are
socio-economically a little bit
white trash, and
right.
And
well, you didn't have to call them that.
No, but they are.
I mean, let's be honest.
And but then the kid I went to school, he was middle class. He's just
there's a lot of
normal kid. It's like
so we're watching these videos, and if you're curious, just pull up YouTube and type in American Juggalo, and just it's hours of
Are
entertainment.
you implying that there's a foreign Juggalo? Like
Well, no, this is some guy.
I would like to see a gathering in
there
another
are.
country.
I'm sure there are. Anyway, this guy, he documented. He goes and it's really well filmed, and he just interviews these people. And as you saw when you walked through the door, what we were watching.
Jesus.
What we were talking about?
titties for $1.
Titties
Tilly's $4. Tilly's $4.
And we saw, and you know, I mean, like, I don't know if it's an education thing sometimes. There was a girl smoking a cigarette while pregnant, which made me uncomfortable. And, I mean...
And it's not like they just
crazy.
found her by herself. Like, she was in a group of, like, 5 other women. Just
it's a very interesting group of people, and they're definitely on the fringe of society altogether. Like,
and I'm all about, you know, countercultural things, and I'm interested in it, and
as long as they're happy.
As long as they're
It
happy.
seems like they're happy, and they keep to themselves. I mean, whatever. They could do their thing, right?
Have you guys ever listened to Insane Clown Posse? Does their music
Back in the
speak
day, yeah.
I did a little bit.
Really?
Their music does not speak.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think it
was-
speaks to me.
I was friends with Juggalos, so I'd be riding in the car with them, and they'd be listening to ICP.
It's a Fayetteville
and stuff like
thing.
that. Yeah,
It's a Fayetteville thing.
It's an everywhere thing.
You know, and now that I look back, there was not a lot of juggalos here in Wilmington, like when I was in high school. It was not a thing
It
as
very much
much.
strikes me as like a Midwest kind of thing.
Well, they're from
Detroit, right?
they're from
Detroit.
Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Is that where their love?
They're
you
from
think-
Michigan, Mike.
You think that's where their love of wrestling?
They're
comes
from Michigan,
Fuck
Mike.
Michigan.
Oh,
We know
here we
that.
go. Here we go. You
He's
said the
baiting him for
word.
that.
He's triggered.
But you think that's where their love of wrestling comes from? That's a hardcore wrestling talent for years, right?
I mean, like, you've got Sabu and RVD coming from that
Yeah.
area. You got Sheik coming from that area. The original Sheik having his wrestling
Besides,
promotion in the 60s and 70s.
Besides WCW, didn't they do ECW as well?
Well, I mean, like, a couple people went to ECW. Not
Yeah.
necessarily. I mean, ECW was mostly a Philadelphia and Northeast thing. But I'm sure a lot of those people
Well, I mean,
felt
like Violent J and Shaggy, didn't they actually wrestle in ECW?
I think that they so don't quote me on this, but I watched some history stuff this week. I think that they actually appeared at an ECW event, but it was not in the Northeast. It was in Florida. And it was an event that ECW had in Florida. So a funny thing about ICP's history in professional wrestling, they appeared in almost every single major promotion in the 90s. They started off composing the music for the oddities for WWF.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were a part of the oddities.
So they came out
Golden
with
and
the
all that.
oddities a little bit, and they had a couple matches. People didn't realize that they were trained professional wrestlers before that. Then they came out with WCW, which we'll see later with the Dark Carnival. I don't think Cookie watched.
I did watch his match. Are you
okay.
sure they're trained professional wrestlers?
They claim
Or they bumped in somebody's backyard.
I don't know about that, man.
they
Train's a loose
claim
term. What was the instructor? Who was that?
Yeah, exactly.
Was he trained?
what we were listening to to Y2J's podcast this week talking about Harley Race, and Harley Race is like, "Who trained you to Triple H?" And he's like, "Killer Kowalski." And he's like, "Killer Kowalski is the shits." I could see that whoever trained the ICP boys, he's the shits. But then they appeared in TNA a little bit. They appeared in Ring of Honor a little bit. We've got appearances by the ICP.
Yeah, and the whole time they're recording music and touring as well.
Man,
and it's crazy. So that's how they've built up this crazy, insane
clown
fan base
posse of people.
Yeah, exactly. Because the nerdy wrestling fans definitely tie into Juggalo culture for sure.
Oh my god, dude!
I always kind of saw myself as a professional wrestling fan. And when my family, I was a professional wrestling fan here in Wilmington. When my family moved to Brunswick County, there was a shop that I'd go to. It's called Player's Choice. It's a great shop. It's now since moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But I went in there, and I didn't realize the Juggalos wrestling connection until I started going there. And I'm talking to my friend Roland, who ran the store, and Roland's like, "Man, our Hatchet, what is it, Hatchet Man gear?"
Yeah, that's actually from Twisted. They have so they all have other groups associated
Okay.
with ICP.
So he's like, "Yeah, our Hatchet Man stuff can't stay in stock. Like, the people that buy that are also the people that are fighting with you over the wrestling DVDs," because he would always he'd hold some wrestling DVDs aside for me, and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting." And I started seeing more and more of it. And then when I got into professional wrestling and started working in the business a little bit, I started seeing a lot more coming to the shows, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I never really. It's interesting to me, and I think I'd like to go to an ICP concert just to stand in the back with my.
They come to Wilmington.
I know. I tried to get people to go after the Guar debacle a couple years ago, not the one last year.
Debacle?
Belcher was the only person that would go with me to the ICP or to the Guar concert. This was before Tolbert and I kind of had a
No, we were hanging out. I was just busy that night. I just couldn't go.
That's fucked up, dude.
Yeah,
That's fucked up.
gotta work, man.
Dude, it's Guar, bro.
Mike is so confused right now.
Well, I mean, I just don't follow it.
So I guess you don't
question my fandom.
All right, so
anyways, back here.
Anyway, so let's actually get to a tie-up section. I'm
Yeah.
sure people.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure CT is sitting at home like, "Oh, what's a Juggalo?" And now he's
Next time we see him, he's gonna show up in full face.
yeah,
paint.
he's coming to all of our rugby matches in full face paint. So our tie-up for the day is, and Mike suggested this. Mike said, "What would your sign be when you go to a live wrestling event?" Mike, take
Okay.
it away.
For me, okay.
Well, no.
Well,
explain
All right, well,
your
so
thought process.
I was watching my match, was it my match? No, maybe it was Tolbert's. I don't remember. But I said
Tolbert's match
think
and
it was
more
mine.
than
You were
all of
watching
the signs,
mine.
and it's like in any of the Attitude Era videos we watch, they're just everywhere.
And it kind of it proliferated.
And
Then
you watch a little bit on Raw, and like there's some now, but it's like not what it used to be.
It's more of a trolling thing
And I was just
nowadays.
saying, and I was
yeah.
intrigued because it's like, some are just like, The Rock's the guy, and then the other ones are trying to be funny, and then it kind of made me think, like, what would I write on a sign? But the problem is, I don't have any wrestling history knowledge.
Oh,
or
you
anything
do
like that.
now.
I
think at this
a
point you
little
do.
bit, but like, I would go for like cheap, terrible pops.
Okay, so
So one of the ones I had, and I wrote, "Best in the world." ... Not. I don't know. Terrible.
that was your sign.
That's one of them. Yeah, you have to have a couple.
All right, so what's the second one?
Well, you guys are just gonna make fun of me.
No,
No,
yeah,
we're
I
not.
mean we are,
No,
but
well-
You got to remember, you're not
You're gonna
orally
make fun of
you're not
us.
orally stating these things. It would be a camera pan, and you'd see that, and you'd go, "Huh."
all right, so what's the second one?
Loser says what? Question.
What?
There we go.
There
we go.
There it is.
I see that one being a more well, nowadays they don't use the what chant as much anymore. Thank God.
I
I
still
hate
do
it.
though.
Yeah.
I hate it. Like
it
you-
hasn't died just yet.
It's when you go to like Chicago, it's always a CM Punk
CM Punk,
chant, or if you're going to any of these places, you can kind of tell the clientele of the fan base with the what chants being. What are you gonna say, Tolbert?
No, nothing. I'm just happy to be here, man. I was thinking. All right, so I just thought of something. Just gave me the giggles. Remember? All right, so there was at a point we used to watch wrestling pay-per-views with all of our friends, and this is the one where we said no more parties because of this one guy. And I just was thinking about what his sign would say if he held one up.
And what would it say?
It'd just be like, "Is Chris Benoit still around?" Because he actually asked that.
Oh, was that the guy?
He's still
the
wrestling.
Royal
He's like,
Rumble
"Where's
party?"
CM Punk?"
I'm like, no,
John Cena.
Oh my God, I forgot about that guy.
We were deep into WrestleMania, and
No, it was the Royal Rumble.
The Royal
Royal
Rumble.
Rumble.
And this guy, and there's probably 15 people at Mike's house.
No, there was like probably 25.
And from the background, it was just this high pitched
God.
voice.
And you have
like,
you have us four huddled around the TV.
Yeah.
And when it's a big party, there's a lot of other stuff going on, and people are like asking random questions, and this guy's just peppering me with.
John Cena. What's he doing? And then he just.
You think Chris Benoit's gonna come back tonight?
And worse. And you can see Aaron, the veins like behind his eyes and twitching.
I think I already Xanaxed up by that point.
God.
Anyway, I was just thinking of.
What's that little short Mexican's name again? What's his name? Ray.
What's your run? A 724?
Stereo.
All right, Aaron, you've been to a couple wrestling matches. Did you ever make a sign?
And so here's the deal with signs. No, I never made a sign because the very first WWE event that I went to, I was so pissed off. I almost punched the child sitting in front of me because it kept blocking my view. I'm at a Raw.
The kid?
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I can very much see like it's an umbrella in a stadium kind of.
And it's you're sitting there and you're like, I'm like ready to see Triple H come out, and his music hits, and I'm like, I'm gonna get goosebumps. He's gonna come out. He's gonna wrestle. He's gonna spit his water in the air. The lights are gonna flash, and then this kid puts the sign up, and I'm like, I can't see. I can't see. Like, I can't see what I came here to see. I wanted to see this happen, and this kid keeps on putting it up. I'm like, the kid's got to stop. And I tap the guy on the shoulder. I'm like, can he just, like, bring it down like a foot? And he's like, no, man, we made this sign up. And it's like, I would not bring a sign. But if I did, it would say, who farted, question mark. Because that's always a very important question. Who farted?
Especially in a wrestling crowd.
Yeah. Who farted?
For me, I think I would. I think I would get a big old cutout of Davenport's face. And then on the over face. Yeah, and then on the other side, it'd be a picture of like some Jiffy peanut butter and the Atlanta Falcons logo.
The real PBF.
Yeah.
PBF Matt
Shout out
Davenport.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
Shout out to the peanut butter Falcon.
I know that movie comes out this week.
I really want to go see it.
I know. I tried to I don't even want to say what. My mom called me and she's like, I think I'm going to the movies today. I'm like, hey, you should go see Peanut Butter Falcon.
Is it out yet? No.
Yeah, it came out this week. Yep.
Oh, really?
It came out this
Oh, it's
week.
next week.
So I told her the premise and she's like, I'm there.
I love
Wow.
a tearjerker.
Yeah.
You're distracting me with your thumping feet, Aaron.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
Come on, Thumper.
Tolbert.
Anyway, mine would say in big bold letters, "I'm scared."
Why?
I don't know, just to troll the heels. And my second choice would be, "I can't see."
I can't see.
Can't see.
Solid one.
I remember maybe it was WWF Warzone, the video game that came out
Yeah.
for N64.
Yeah.
And they had it was like the first time in a video game that they were able to digitize the audience and have the signs up. And I think one of them said, "The guy behind me can't see."
I like that.
And I'm like, yeah, that's
I like
exactly that was me.
Do they have like assigned stations in the arena? Because I know I've gone to NBA games where there's like a table set up with poster board and like markers and stuff.
Oh,
like
and you can make your own sign.
No,
Oh,
they
okay.
do that a little bit, and I haven't been to one lately. The last one I went to was WrestleMania 30, and
It's probably not a big deal at WrestleMania.
no, because at WrestleMania it's like people have paid.
People are gonna pop, doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're gonna pop. You're there for WrestleMania. You're with like 79,000 other people that are there to watch the wrestling matches. You know, they're not there because it's like, oh, well, they were $20 tickets. I'm just gonna go see this. You know, it's not like the Super Bowl or something. All right, for our first matchup of the evening, for Big Mike the Greenhorn, we have got Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and Bryan Pillman against Mr. JL, Dave Sullivan, and Joey Maggs.
All right, so this match is, I think, just a standard WCW Nitro, right? Or no, what do they call it?
So this was a Saturday night.
Okay, and
The Saturday night main
Saturday
event.
night?
yeah, so I'm gonna focus. I tweeted out the links. You need to watch this. It's very much just a whatever wrestling match, but it was a dive down nostalgia lane.
It was a time capsule.
And it was peppered in with Dusty amazingness. Like on commentary, Dusty stole the show, and I don't even know who the other guy was.
It was some guy I can't even tell you. It was some other guy that like didn't. It was like there for a cup of coffee.
So the video cuts to now. It's only the very end of it, but I'm pretty sure it was an Ovaltine commercial.
It starts with an
And you
Ovaltine,
literally, it's like boom, hits you right there in the heart. You're like, oh god.
and the tagline was, "It's good for you."
And
Do they still sell that stuff?
I think they do, but they definitely don't. Maybe I'm just
Market
not watching
anymore.
the channels that they would advertise Ovaltine on.
Yeah, that's fair,
So
fair enough.
we get to the wrestling, and it's like, you know, I was gonna hit on a couple of the things, like the entrances and the rings, the spinning, like it did in one of my videos the other time.
Yeah.
And the big take home for me was Dave Sullivan came out holding a rabbit, and he had a snapback hat on, backwards, not snapped. I was very confused, and
I can give you a little bit of history about Dave Sullivan, the character. He was supposed to be the brother of Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan, ironically, is like 5'6".
okay.
Kind of looks like him. They've got similar hair, similar kind of facial hair. But Dave was the crazy brother, and he was kind of like a Eugene character, if you know who Eugene
I
is.
don't.
Oh my gosh.
Eugene is...
He was the original Peanut Butter Falcon. Let's
yeah,
just
he
say
was
that.
kind of like a Peanut Butter Falcon. And he would write EVAD on his head. Dave. It's Dave backwards.
Gotcha.
It's Dave
Okay.
backwards. And he would come out with a rabbit. And at some point, I think they probably killed the rabbit.
Yeah.
It's... Anytime you bring an animal out that's not like...
Yeah, either way, Dave Sullivan is a big motherfucker.
He's 6'5".
Huge.
I looked him up.
The other take homes from the entrances, Arn Anderson, I think I've used this term before, like wrestler's wrestler, but like Arn Anderson is the baby bear's porridge of wrestling.
Just right in the middle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He's got the right look, enough grizzledness on his chest. He's cut just enough. He's not too tall. He's definitely not small. I'm an Arn Anderson fan. I haven't really watched much of his wrestling.
And he's a man.
He's a man.
He's a man.
I feel like Harley Race would approve of Arn Anderson.
Oh, I think so too.
And that's what I got for the entrances. The match is, pretty much just whatever. The best part is Dusty Rhodes' commentary, like I mentioned earlier. So at one point, actually, Dusty opens the show mentioning how progressive WCW is and how they get letters from women all over the country that are really proud to hear that they have an executive. I think it was Dusty's boss. I didn't write her name down. And so he's just diving into that story, and you're just like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then it cuts to a commercial. And it's this is the 90s CD or cassette. And it was the perfect mix of 90s music.
And now let's see if we can remember some of them. It starts off with Jesus Jones, right here, right now. There is no other place. And then I think it went to Divinals, I Touch Myself.
Yep.
It goes to the Proclaimers, I Would Walk 500 miles.
I would walk 5.
And I would walk 500. And then it cuts to like the couple, and they're like, we love 90s music.
my
There's one more.
gosh.
It's, to be with you.
Oh, no, Mr. Big, yeah.
And they have Vanilla Ice. The R. Kelly song was
R. Kelly, Sex Me. I
Sex
think.
Me.
Yeah.
There was also appearances by Shaq and Will Smith.
Shaq and Foo Schnickers, who were the name of the. Don't act like the F. I will spell it out for you, Cookie. Do not call me out. The Foo Schnickers.
Okay. All right. I had to make sure.
All right. Yeah, but so not only is it taking you down the music road, Cookie, you may be too young for this, but I know Tolbert and Aaron, not just the commercial, but like you could choose between cassettes or CDs.
Yeah.
And CDs were always more expensive, and as a kid, I just remember sitting there on the couch going,
All right.
man,
Ooh.
who'd be rich enough to buy CDs?
And wait.
So that was the other thing I made note of. 4 to 5 week turnaround. You send your money, 4 to 5 week. No CODs though.
No CODs, no cash on delivery.
Cash, check, credit card, no CODs. 4 to 5 week turnaround to get it. They did have available 2-day express shipping. Look at where we've come in 20 years.
I know.
2-day express shipping is the standard expectation
On everything.
now.
Yeah.
If you have to wait 5 days,
Get the fuck out.
get out of here. Yeah, yeah.
Not happening. That's not happening.
No, yeah. Amazon Prime, man. I ordered that one thing, and next day it didn't get here by 9 p.m. like it said, but I was upset about it.
I was able to get my brand new Jim Cornette
Oh, you got one.
presents Behind the Curtain Real Pro Wrestling Stories in 2 days. It was released on Wednesday. I got it
You didn't
Friday.
Go for, you didn't
Nice.
Get the special edition hardback.
No, this was $10 compared to like $40.
$40.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Jim Cornette. I know you listen to our podcast every week, so he's gonna call me a butterface. At
So
some point.
after the This Is the 90s dive down nostalgia lane, then there was like this like local promotion boxing match.
Oh, phenomenal! It's
Yeah.
like they'll hit the mat.
And then we come back to the match. I did note, and I've noticed it more in his matches since you pointed out, but Flair took a couple side bumps.
Yes.
And so I see it, and then I'm like, oh, that's a nice little side bump. Joey Maggs has a mop on his head, man. That was a solid, close to trashy mullet. And that's the take home from the wrestling side. Ric Flair wins by tapping out.
Oh, there was like an Irish whip, and Bryan Pillman jumped up, kicked the guy. So first off, let's talk about that itineration of the Four Horsemen.
Okay, well, we can go down that road then.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all I want to say.
Lead that discussion because I don't know anything
But,
about
so
them.
this itineration of the Four Horsemen was the one that I was born and raised on because this was like early 90s Four Horsemen. And, like I wasn't around for the original run or the second run or probably even the third one. Excuse me.
Wow.
But for the fourth one,
This guy.
it was Bryan Pillman and Chris Benoit were the other two members other than Ric Flair. And
come on,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Jesus, man. That's 2 followers right
Easy
there.
on the cheer wine over there, bud.
I know. Easy on the Pepsi Fuller. Look what
All
you
right.
did, you little jerk. So yeah, it was that itineration of the Four Horsemen, but they only had 3 of the wrestlers there.
Yeah, and they alluded that like you don't know which ones you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But again, let's get back to Dusty's commentary.
Yes, please.
At one point, they start bickering back and forth and about how Dusty at one point had to go to his boss's house to pick up his check. And they're just bickering back and forth, and then the other guy alludes to possibly Dusty taking, not liberties, but having relations with his boss.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
And Dusty drops a line, don't throw my laundry into the street.
But it was street, baby.
Yeah, street, baby. Another point, Dusty goes on this rambling thing for a couple seconds where he's really wants an on-screen teleprompter because he wants to point somebody out in the audience and he wants to show somebody something.
He's like, listen, like John Madden has. John Madden can write up on the screen, baby.
Oh, I can do it right now, but you won't be able to see it. And but then he never talks about why he wanted to point out that fan.
Oh, man.
So Dusty left a little cliffhanger there. Long story short, Dusty Rhodes. God bless Dusty Rhodes, man.
The most entertaining man in sports entertainment of all time.
Easily.
The most entertaining.
Like that, I can't say he wasn't. I mean, I really like everything that Dusty's done.
He's ever done, baby. He wined and dined with kings and queens and slept in alleys and dined on pork and beans. So give me your social media update of the evening.
All right, social media, Instagram, holding steady, 69 followers. Actually, as I wrote my notes, Tolbert had posted one Instagram picture, and that was him wearing a little child's Sting mask. He did, between then and now, he has posted another picture of my son biting a CM Punk
Wrestle buddy.
wrestle doll, calling him what, Little Funk or Terry Jr.?
Little Funk Jr.
So Tolbert,
Because I asked him on the group chat.
you said
You
you told him
texted
to
me
do.
that picture while I was driving over here.
Well, no, I said post this to the Instagram.
Yeah, I did.
All right. On Twitter,
Jesus Christ.
95 followers.
95, man. That's
We're
moving on up.
We're almost 50% of the way to see Tolbert go through a table.
Tolbert, man, you got to do something.
I did that. I pulled a Tolbert though this week. There was 3 days I had 0 tweets. I didn't. There's no best or worst of this week because it was all trash because it was all just half-assed. But continuing to follow like-minded individuals.
AKA
succeeded.
Follow Back Friday.
No. So it's not. I'm not posting Follow Back Fridays. I'm not retweeting Follow Back Fridays. I'm not liking Follow Back Fridays. I'm following.
But coincidentally, every Friday I'm getting all these announcements that we're getting all these
it's because
followers.
I don't know. I can't just go
People
out.
are following us back on Friday.
I can't just
Therefore,
go out into the world
follow
and
back
follow
Friday.
random people and assume they're going to follow back. I have to find a wrestling chain, so I start following those people.
on a Friday
It just happens to be on a Friday, yeah.
where people are following you back. So Follow Back Friday.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, I just
I'm
wanted to
casting a
clear
wide
that up.
net and seeing what I land. Now, I do
On a
have,
Friday.
I do have to go back now and unfollow the people that did not follow back. So it is going to be.
So you were following. So you just admitted that you are giving in. It's become a. Mike is like one of those addicts that you meet that.
Just need another hit, man.
Just
need
he's
one more follower.
chasing that first high.
Well, that one time we got like
Chasing the dragon.
12 in a week. That was insane. That was amazing.
Yeah, and then you said to
I'm
me,
not, it is. It's like cigarettes. I cannot get what I want out of it. I just keep doing it though.
I wish there was a Follow Back Friday for Instagram, but there's
It
not.
probably is. Tolbert probably hasn't even tried to find one.
Well curated and thought out.
The hell of.
for useless clicks. Guys.
Half of them are just like selfies of Tolbert doing stupid.
It's always Tolbert
things
doing something.
with wrestling. Hey, here's a Sting mask.
I like it to be organic. I was hanging out, and out of nowhere, a Sting mask was presented to me. So I took advantage
Where
of that
did you
moment.
find that Sting mask?
All right, so we were at some friend's house today. They have a 4-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And we were playing around. He was jumping around being all excited because he had company. And his dad's like, hey, show him your wrestling mask, bud. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he runs over. He's like, I bet you don't know who this wrestler is.
And
he dives. He rustles into his toy box and then pops up with the Sting mask on.
Nice.
And I was like, really, bud? Really? You're going to throw NWO Sting at me? Yeah.
Mr. Tolbert, why are you crying?
So then he charged me and I chokeslammed him on the couch.
Nice, nice.
But that's not a Sting move.
Well, he was Sting. He had the mask on, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
He was being Kane in this situation.
Gotcha.
And then
Okay.
I put the mask on.
Okay.
You became Sting.
I became
The,
I'm-
the picture
I'm the
of Tolbert
captain now.
in the mask is a little weird though because all
My
of the
beard's
facial hair
coming out,
underneath
yeah.
the bottom.
That's what's funny
it reminded
about
me
it,
of like
Mike.
it was neckbeard Sting.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That Sting will be appearing at the Gathering this next year, along with all the hits of
Sting.
yesteryear and Jesus Jones and the Proclaimers. All right, for our second match of the evening, the Strong Style with Cookie. Cookie, you have a Ring of Honor match. This is our first Ring of Honor match of our short little run here on $2 Steak. You have got Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, also known as Daniel Bryan, against Takeshi Morishima. Morishima.
This was one of the coolest matches I think I've ever watched, man.
Really?
I thought this was so cool. I started by looking at the comments because I was like, I'm just going to look at the comments. I normally don't do that. When
Oh,
I
I looked at him too in the first comment.
The first comment that I saw was that he detached his retina during this match.
6 minutes in.
Yes, 6 minutes in, due to those kicks that Morishima was giving him. And I was like, okay, I wonder how this is going to play out. At the time, I didn't know when he was going to actually start feeling the effects. And then I noticed 5 minutes into the match, oh my God, he had a detached retina.
He's grabbing his
immediately.
eye.
He was holding on to it the entire time. I was like, is he really selling this? Or is he's hurt? He was actually hurt. And he wrestled for 15 minutes. And I thought that was the coolest thing, man.
It was a fun match, though. They knocked the shit out of each other.
Oh my God, they beat the shit out of each other. This was a legit strong style match. But I thought it was kind of weird. Daniel Bryan sporting the shaved head look. That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, it's kind of weird seeing him with a bald
He doesn't have a
head.
beard either, I don't think.
He didn't have a beard either, so he was just very clean cut, just all clean cut. It was very weird. But before this match could begin, I could tell that this was going to be a different,
was that your fantasy football?
I was my phone.
Oh, I would thought that was your fantasy.
No, I'm
football
on auto draft right now. This is how much I love and am committed to this podcast.
That is really commitment. I appreciate that because I'm over here counting down the minutes on mine.
See what I'm talking about?
All right, so back to Morishima.
So this is definitely a different style from Daniel Bryan. This is more strong style from Daniel Bryan, and it's definitely not what you see today. Probably because he has had so many injuries, come from his prior years of wrestling. But the match started off kind of slow, a lot of leg kicks to begin the match, and I think the reason why is because Daniel Bryan is 5'9", probably 180, and Morishima, the paint you guys a picture, is 6'4", probably 300 pounds.
He's
maybe
a big
more.
boy.
He was a big, big guy.
Thick.
I thought this was the coolest thing though, is that this was not a WWE style audience. I heard one of the first things I heard was "fuck 'em up, Dragon, fuck 'em up."
Yes,
I loved it. I got behind Daniel Bryan. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Fuck it, fuck 'em up. And Morishima, he was clearly trying to grapple him, hold him down, get him against the ropes. He did a lot of clubs to the back, but Bryan would get out of it. He'd find a way out of it and just start kicking those legs again. And eventually it would start wearing down on him. But, for the first 10 to 12 minutes, that's what he was doing. And it started off kind of slow. And I was like, all right, come on, hurry up.
It draws you in, though.
But it drew me. It did. It drew me in. And Morishima eventually caught him in the corner. And he started throwing those bows and just punching him. And those punches they looked sloppy, but they were making contact with his head. Like those elbows and punches.
And I don't know if in your matchup, I don't know if it's one person started going a little strong, so the other person started going a little strong. I don't know if it's...
That's what I was thinking, and because he started really picking it up. Morishima started picking it up with his elbows and stuff. I guess one of those kicks were a little too hard, but Morishima, he kicked Daniel Bryan right in the temple, and I saw him just slump. I was like, he might be knocked out a little bit, and but he kept stomping him in the corner, and he wasn't pulling those kicks at all. He was making contact with his forehead and temple. It's pretty gnarly. And then there was a running boot that I think really fucked up Daniel Bryan, and I think that's when he really started clenching onto his eye. And that's when I thought, okay, he's probably really fucked up.
And I think at that point, the commentary starts playing into that too. They start realizing that maybe his eye did have something wrong.
And he's holding on to his eye. I heard that so many times. I was like, yeah, there's something that's probably really going on. But there was a spot outside where Daniel Bryan takes a running boot to his bad eye, and he started holding on to it even longer. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that could be it. That could be exactly where he had that detached retina. And he then does a running hip check into the corner. So he takes multiple bumps to his face and to his eye. But Bryan counters the next move and throws Morishima over the guardrail and does a springboard crossbody from the ring all the way to the outside.
Very similar to the RVD Vader match.
Yeah,
that we saw.
Exactly. Except he didn't go back and do it again. But I thought that was a really cool spot. And then he does another spot where he drapes Morishima's leg over the guardrail and uses a chair to do some more damage to the left leg. Just really playing into it, really building that story. And then Morishima just eats a drop kick from the top rope and delivers a clothesline from hell. And I feel like every shot that he made was making contact with the eye and that bad side of his head. But Bryan, he countered a couple of moves. He countered one move and turned it into an Achilles stretch. Morishima powers out of it, and he delivered a pretty cool German suplex. Morishima and Bryan go up to the top rope. I thought this was pretty cool. Morishima attempts a missile drop kick, which Bryan just kind of sidesteps, kind of like Samoa Joe does. I thought it was pretty cool. And then he goes for a modified ankle lock. Morishima, again, just too big, and he just German suplexes him. And I messed that up. But Morishima's just way too big for it. Obviously counters out of it, and he hits a Luthez press, which... That's a lot of weight dropping down on you.
You are getting pressed.
But he counters it. But Bryan counters this Luthez press after he drops a couple of bows on him. He counters it into a single leg Walls of Jericho.
Boston crab.
I love that. Forearms to the back of the head of Morishima, rolls him up for a 2 count. Bryan goes for a sunset flip, and Morishima drops all that body weight onto his chest.
Jesus.
I hate that bump. Every time someone does that, small guy tries to roll him up with a sunset flip.
No, and then they just sit on him.
And they just sit on him. Rikishi used to do it all the time. Anyway,
That happened to me in a rugby match one time.
All right.
Bag tackle. And I went low, went for his legs, but I got him around his ankles.
And he just dropped all his body
and,
weight.
Paused and then just dropped all his body weight right on my stomach.
Yeah. Oh God, man.
It hurt so bad.
I bet your sternum hated you too. But anyway, Bryan he finally does hit a German suplex on Morishima, which I don't know how the fuck he did that, but like, because I'd be afraid of all that body weight landing right on my fucking head. But
well, he didn't care. He wanted to perform, and he did.
And he did. Anyway, elbows to the side of the neck for Morishima. Morishima goes up for a fireman's carry. This is again playing into the leg kicks. He can't get him up. Bryan starts kicking that leg again until it gives away. And then Bryan starts kicking Morishima in the jaw. He just like takes both of his arms, holds them both up, and then just starts stomping on his face a solid like 15 times. And only a 2 count. Bryan goes for a wild submission. It has some type of Japanese name, of course, that I can't pronounce.
Oh God, I forgot what it was.
It's like an he's overstretching his shoulder blades and his shoulders, basically. Morishima, again, too powerful. Even if he's tired, too powerful. He counters it. Bryan goes for a super backdrop from the middle rope, and that gets countered in midair. Once again, all that body weight just dropping right on top of Bryan Danielson. And again, a 2 count. Forearms, elbows, and then he hits. Morishima hits a Stan Hansen-esque lariat that turns Daniel Bryanson inside out. I mean, he really sold that one. Morishima hits his move. It's just like a backdrop driver, I think is what he calls it, and he eventually gets that 3 count. Morishima wins, but it was a battle.
It was a battle. War?
It was a war. I mean, my commentary right now is not going to do us justice. You guys should go back and watch this match. Go look at the link. A phenomenal match.
So in between two kind of jokey matches tonight, you got a hellacious match that was one of the hardest hitting matches we've had on this show.
100%.
What do you think cookie-wise?
Cookie-wise, it gets 5 cookies, man.
Jesus
5 cookies.
Christ.
Is that 2 in a row?
No, it was 3.35
for a Bull
3.5 last week. Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
So I honestly, at the end of the year, when we have our first,
yearly
wrap up episode, we're gonna have a fight between all these things.
We are gonna have to mine through it though, because I haven't been keeping track.
Oh, the cookies?
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, I have. He's got
notes.
I got it.
Oh,
this is gonna get a golden cookie nomination too. But once again,
I will say,
by the end of the year, this is gonna.
So we had it on
be
in the background earlier, and I've never seen Daniel Bryan wrestle pre-neck injury.
Yes.
So it was. I've only seen since he's come back in the last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, his matches currently, you can see how athletic he is and the effort he puts into everything. But dude, he didn't care.
He went all out.
It was insane. That lariat you were talking about, literally turned him inside out.
Inside out. And I think this is one of the coolest things that I didn't see one move from his WWE. Style of wrestling,
and that's how he was.
I didn't see one thing.
He's this tiny little scrappy brawler guy. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah,
and I mean, and even then he wasn't. He's not big now, but he's a little cutter, a little leaner now.
Yeah.
But he's just looks like a dude who's out there fighting for his life. It was awesome.
And you can tell that I don't know who trained him, but
do you want to know?
Was it William Regal?
No.
Who was it? Killer Kowalski?
No.
Who was it?
HBK.
Shawn Michaels, really?
Shawn Michaels trained him.
He did.
Would Harley Race call Shawn Michaels the shits?
The shits. No, I think Harley would probably respect Shawn a little bit.
Daniel, just a hell of a match, and it's just a testament to his fortitude, because I mean, still he's wrestling and he's still throwing everything he has at his opponent. So
right.
Just a testament to his fortitude. I've become more of a Daniel Bryan fan now because of this match.
Good.
Yeah. So
I'm glad. I mean,
really
you can appreciate him. And I remember early 2000s when I was just getting back into professional wrestling, and I had grown up on WCW and WWE and a little bit of ECW, and YouTube just became a thing. This is probably 2006, and I remember people being on the internet wrestling forums and stuff, man, you got to see this CM Punk guy. You got to see this. You got to see this guy here, this guy there. Every single person was like, you got to see this
Bryan
Bryan Danielson guy.
Yeah.
This American Dragon. He's the guy that you got to watch.
Man, I wish I knew about this too, because this was around like 2007, 2008, and this is where like WWE was kind of on the decline. Impact was kind of on the up and up. I wish I would have watched Ring of Honor as well as like Impact Wrestling. Because,
I did too.
Because I think this was a really good time for Ring of Honor. It's kind of gone on decline now, but I think this was like a really hot time for them.
It was,
Yeah.
and it was definitely like a best in the world sort of situation. At this point, man, you have got some of the greatest wrestlers of all time in that ring together, sharing it at that time.
Yeah.
And it was like you've got Samoa Joe, you've got CM Punk, you've got AJ Styles, you've got Bryan Daniel.
Yeah.
Or his son, Bryan Danielson.
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 It's all right, a 5-cookie match.
5 cookies. Solid match, man. Solid
Golden
match.
Cookie nomination.
100%.
It was up to me, I would never dare you. If it was up to me, I would rather spare you.
All right, for our shit show of a high spot this evening, we have got the Dark Carnival, which includes Violent J, Shaggy 2 Dope, Vampiro, and my man, the great Muta.
Oh man, this match is hotter
Wait,
than
wait.
child at its gathering.
Against 3 count, comma, there's kind of 2 matches in this, but it's like...
it's a 2-for-1 deal. It's a 2-for-1.
But it's only 11 minutes, so you know that it's going to be a shit show.
This is 2 Fagos for 1 kind of deal.
Oh, did he just
God
say-
damn it, Cookie.
I'm
Can you
sorry. I'm sorry. I turned
God
it off. I
damn
don't
it,
know why it
Cookie.
came back on. I apologize, guys. Whoopsies.
All right, so tell me a little bit about your match, Whoop Whoop.
Oh man, this is a shit show of a match. It starts off quick. So you get the entrance from Vampiro and the Juggalos, and right off the bat, Vampiro looks like he's just falling in with the wrong crowd.
He does.
He's just hanging out with the
He's got that
kids.
faraway stare in his eyes where he's
Yeah.
like, somebody save me.
He's got the Juggalo. He's got the dreads. Like, what's with the? Oh man, I'm like, oh, your mom told you not to hang out with those guys, and now here we are.
And then you're hanging out with this Tolbert child in high school in Fayetteville in the early 2000s, and you're getting arrested for spray painting dicks on things.
I didn't spray paint dicks. I spray painted skate and destroy.
Like, was it skate spelled out or SK8?
Oh, I spelled it out. Dude.
Okay,
I'm
just
no
making
fucking
sure.
poser, Mike. Come on.
Oh my god! He
Don't you dare disrespect him like that.
Anyway, so the posse comes out.
Oh, he's on a him and the posse.
His boys. And then, all right, so they make their way to the ring, and following them is the great Muta coming out looking insane, just awesome with his
I
face
love
paint, his
Muta.
green tongue.
I do
and-
too.
Now,
oh man,
here's my question to you.
Yes.
When you said Vampiro looks like the guy that wandered in with the wrong crowd,
Where the fuck does...
how did Muta? And like,
I was kind of confused about this. You told me is he a part of the Dark Carnival?
Oh, he's a part of it. Yeah,
So how does he tie into that, man?
He paints his face.
he paints his
Yeah.
face.
That's what
And
they-
we were talking
they
about this
literally
earlier.
grabbed
Well,
everybody.
as we'll later find out in this match, apparently everyone paints their damn face.
Jesus Christ! It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. There's
Six
5.
six people on this show with black and white face paint
Yeah.
on this link alone
And the only one that deserves to wear it,
is Muta.
well, yes, Muta. And later we will find out.
Don't give it away yet. So
Okay,
tell
give it away.
me about the match.
Anyway, all right. So in all of this entrance ends abruptly with 3 count, just kind of running in. Their music hits. They charge the ring, and they just start going at it. And we have some all right back and forth. You know, we have some moves from 3 count. We noteworthy is a triple off the top rope drop kick to take all the members down. They do a kind of like a triple team suplex. They also do this. They have Vampiro, like he's upside down and facing him. It's like you know that music video, "Turn It Down for What?" You know? When
Turn it down for what?
What's the fucking name of the song?
What are the kids
I wasn't going to say
This
it.
was years ago.
It's called Turn Down for What?
whatever, man. You know, when they pick him up, you know, and you do the fish thing.
Oh yeah. Like That was in the Turn It Down for What music video?
Yeah, at the end when the Asian guy's dancing.
Oh,
and he
he's
does,
talking about the wheelbarrow. That
yeah,
they
the
did.
wheelbarrow.
The wheelbarrow. Yeah.
They did like a wheelbarrow like slam
Turn
on
It Down for What?
Vampire. That was pretty funny. It was not too bad. The wrestling from Shaggy and Violent J.
Horrible.
Yeah, during that triple drop kick, I think Violent J gets taken down, and he tries to roll out of the ring, but he realizes he's too far away, and he kind of just does this really bad, like, I'm just going to slide out of here kind of thing.
Wrestling, how does it work?
Yeah, wrestling. How does that work?
That was for all my juggalos and juggalettes.
Yeah. Now, one thing I was kind of impressed, Shaggy Tuda. Which one's the bigger one? Is that
That's
Shaggy?
Violent J.
Violent
So
J.
Violent J. He actually kind of presses. He does like a military press with one of the 3-count guys.
Yeah, well, they're all like $180.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot of weight. And he presses him, brings him down, and I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, he's gonna drop this guy. He's gonna fucking just drop this guy. But it actually brings him down into a Samoa Slam, and I was like, all right, maybe you got a couple moves in there.
Match
Can't
of the
sell
year
for
candidate,
shit,
yeah.
but you got a couple moves. In the meantime, we got Tony Schiavone on commentary.
Yes.
Oh yes, I love
Yeah.
this.
And who else?
I
Who
think it
else
was
is on?
Mark Madden was the
Okay.
other one.
And then
Who's the third person on the
the
commentary?
Great Muda.
The Great Muda.
The Great
But he's
Muda.
Japanese.
He is.
Oh my god.
And he kicks right in with this Japanese banter, and then all you can understand is Vampiro.
So it sounds like a cross between Timmy from South Park
Yes.
and the Tasmanian Devil.
And he sounds like a possessed Japanese man. He babbles. And at one point, he's just fucking screaming. He's not even speaking Japanese. He's just
Indian-
on. I assume it was a Nitro. It was live.
Oh, God. It was live.
And so match continues. There's a lot of out of the ring action, just like shitty sells and shitty spots. And out of nowhere, big old Tank Abbott comes just running down.
Former
the
UFC
laneway.
fighter.
Yeah, he's a big
Is he really? I did not know
He
that.
was terrible.
Yeah, he's a big
Okay,
dude
never
though.
mind.
He was like early days UFC before like there was like real rules and stuff.
I
like,
got you.
But he makes his entrance, comes running down, starts attacking everybody. He jumps in. He goes after Vampiro first.
yeah. And then he goes after the 3-count.
Well, he was actually, I made a
He
note
was their
here for
manager.
the nut shot. So he goes after
because
the 3-count.
apparently like their song was not good. I don't
So he goes after, he kicks the shit out of the 3-count. And what I made a note, the only noteworthy part about this is one of the members from 3-count throws a kick and he catches it and he gives a really stiff nut shot.
Yeah.
to him. It was really snug.
deserved for not releasing their album.
So then everyone kind of jumps in the ring. It was confusing because everyone just turned on Tank. Everyone stopped fighting each other and turned on him. And it just looked like a schoolyard stomp down. A bunch of juggalos stomping down a dude over a bad weed deal or something like that.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, this Kiss-looking motherfucker comes running.
The
I thought
demon.
it was Kiss.
No,
I was
it's
like,
the
is
demon.
that
It's
is
the
that
demon.
Gene Simmons?
It's the demon, and he has the Gene Simmons face paint, like
Right.
to a
So,
T.
so they had some kind of deal with Kiss. They had some sort of deal with Kiss, and they had some sort of deal with ICP. And I think Kiss fans are the juggalos of the 70s. So I think that there was a lot of turnover.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So he runs in and just starts attacking everybody. Muda gets tired of being on the mic. He's had it. So Muda jumps in.
Muda jumps in,
to,
right?
To
so
help
then
his
that's
teammates, to help
that's
his teammates, right?
5 people in the ring with
And
white.
it's a shit show. There's stuff flying everywhere. Then it all goes black.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. Who could that be?
Who could that be? I started looking to the rafters, but no, he just comes down the laneway. I guess at this point, WCW couldn't afford
Yeah.
the
cable anymore.
Can we talk about the set? The set was awful at
Yeah.
that point. Like you can tell that they're like in the cost cutting measures of everything.
You have
Definitely
like,
late 2000s.
you have like
Early
the tribal nitro design and all that. Just,
Ugh.
yeah. So Sting comes out with his bat, running down the lane, right to the ring, starts fucking clearing it out, man. Just hitting everybody with the bat, flinching at him. Everyone's scared. Clears the ring. Cut to a promo. Match is over. Cut to a promo.
Right.
And it's Sting calling out Vampiro and Muda. Say, I'll take you on anywhere, anytime. And then his catchline at the time was, It's showtime.
Just like Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Love it.
Another black and white face person.
Yeah. All right. And so
Holy shit, I never made that connection until now.
It's showtime.
Wow.
And so this is, like I said, this is a 2-for-1 right here. So it cuts to Muda and versus Sting. So Muda comes out first. Sting's music hits. It lasts for all of 2 seconds. Muda just goes right into Sting.
Well, no,
right
you
on
didn't
the
tell
ramp.
me about Sting's like entrance where he does the.
Well, oh yeah, dude. What he does
Yeah,
kind of
what
like a
was
Ric
up with
Flair.
I don't know.
What was that? A
It
Ric
was
Flair?
awful. No, it was like
I don't know
Sting
what it
being
was.
Sting. It
It
was
looked
bad.
like he was.
Sting's
Robocop.
promo was the first time I've ever actually heard Sting talk.
Really?
Really? What did you
Yeah.
think of his promo?
It voice didn't match what I was
Well,
expecting.
his voice is very much still like Surfer Sting.
Yeah, he's like a California guy.
Yeah, so
like-
that's why I really and I thought back like maybe a little bit on the one like a couple of the videos, but I've never heard him like cut a promo.
Would you put him up there with
No one.
some of the? Okay.
with no.
His promo was always about the same. It's he's very intense and woo. Anyway, so they never actually make it to the ring.
No,
it's just back
they
and
don't.
forth. No one even touches the curtain. They don't get anywhere near it.
No.
And you have some back and forth. You have a pretty good spin kick that I thought was gonna send Muda backwards, tumbling down the ramp, but he caught his balance. So Sting gets a little offense in, and he throws Muda into the guardrail about 15 times,
Right.
and then delivers a chair shot. It wasn't the best chair shot. Muda's kind of expecting to get. Gives a little turn
Right.
around. Oh, hit me. Anyway, they work their way back to the ramp. And then you see a silhouette over.
What?
Actually,
3 silhouettes.
You see a silhouette, and you see 2 more shadows up above the entrance, and
Standing in front of the projector, like
yeah,
at a
like
business
gremlins.
meeting, like
when all the gremlins come through the back of the projector.
or at your corporate meeting at work, and you're like, sit down, man.
Sit
I'm
down,
trying to watch
sit
this
down."
safety video, man.
And then you see someone cut the canvas, and then out comes Vampiro. And he's got a kendo stick or a big.
Oh, they call it a Singapore cane.
Singapore cane
Yeah.
in his hand, and he's crouched down on the scaffolding. Right, Sting doesn't see him at first. He's being backed into it, into the attack by Muda, and then all of a sudden, these smoke streams, these dry
it
ice
was
smoke
so
streams
it was
come
so
up.
terrible.
It was very bad because Sting kind of is like, "Oh no, what's going on?" and backs like into it.
My favorite part.
It's like he missed his cue. He was supposed to be standing there.
Well, the commentators keep acting like he's going to jump off. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the Vampire's going to jump off," and
Yeah,
then
yeah. I
Vampire
was
like
They were
expecting
just
it
waiting.
too.
They were just waiting.
Vampire
Yeah.
like sits down and like puts one leg over, one leg over,
I
and then
was
like
expecting like a suicide dive off the top, and then the smoke hits, and then he hops down
very slowly,
yeah, and starts
gingerly.
attacking Sting. You have some more kind of just generic back and forth. And so we lead to the next spot where they both climb up. But as Vampire is making an escape to climb up to where he came from,
A very slow escape.
yeah, very slow escape. Sting goes to intercept him, and he gives a kick that just whiffs, misses Sting completely, but Sting sells it.
Still sells it.
And then he gives like this like slap, like you're like, no, get away. He kind of slap,
Right.
and fucks it up, but he jumps down to kind of tidy up. But anyway, they end up both back up top, shifting around, wrestling around, and then out of nowhere, Violent J, Shaggy 2 Dope just grab him, pull him backstage, and then you see the silhouette stomp down, and you can tell there's just some boards back there, and they're like just stomping the boards, and oh man,
And
it
then
was
then
bad.
all I want to know is, did Vince Russo ever get up with Goldberg in the desert?
Yeah. All right, so the whole time this is going on, commentary. There's some drama going on where Goldberg
Is in the middle of the desert.
is in the middle of the desert, has kidnapped Vince Russo.
New Mexico. In New Mexico.
In New Mexico.
Took him to the desert.
and someone needs to call the New Mexican.
They're doing
Highway
peyote
Patrol.
out there, and like
So Booker
Bro.
T and Goldberg have kidnapped Russo. Apparently, they should have left him out there.
Did you have fun watching?
I had a great time watching this match.
In our group
It's
chat this
shitty.
week, Tolbert said, "This is how Mondays used to always be," and then he gave like some emoji, like an emoji, like he really enjoyed it, and I'm like, "This is
really
fucking
enjoy it.
terrible."
It was bad.
What was your favorite part of that match? I'm just curious.
Favorite part?
It wasn't even a match, dude.
No,
I honestly, when I found that link, what sold me, because last week Tolbert was like, "I want something with ICP," And it took me a little while to find something with ICP that was like usable. And I'm like, the video quality of this link is very good.
Yeah.
But what sold me was Great Muda's commentary.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
That was what I was
part.
like. You know what? When I heard like this weird Japanese gibberish and Vampiro, and then the shot of Muda looking insane with his green tongue, screaming at the top of his lungs, I'm like, this is what we're gonna be watching this week.
Well, and that brings me to the haiku. And my opening line is, I hate to break it to you, Muda was fed his lines.
Wait. All right, start over. Okay. So this is officially the haiku. All right, so start over.
Muda was fed lines. Is there any face paint left? Sting, keep your back close.
There you go. All right, so there you go. So that is our episode this week.
I didn't quite get the pop from you guys I was expecting about Muda was fed lines.
Well, I think
it's funny.
I thought, come on.
It's pretty good.
Muda was fed lines.
He was.
Muta was fed lines. All right, so what are the? Give me the 7. The next
7?
one.
Is there any face paint left?
There's not. There's no face paint left. There's not. And then the last one.
Sting, keep your back close.
Keep your back close and your friends closer.
So for far away.
But as we saw in American Juggalo, let's tie it all up in a bow. You don't necessarily need face paint to paint your face.
You don't. You could use spray paint.
Like the people on the American Juggalo experience.
Wait, no, they did not. They used spray paint.
No, don't worry. They covered his eyes.
Okay.
With his hand.
With his hand.
Yeah, look up American Juggalo.
Watch
Sit
it, Cookie.
back,
Cookie, watch it tonight.
Crack a beer, pour a nice glass of wine.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. That's the name of this episode.
Family. 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 Family.